Hey everyone, welcome back. As always, I'm Michael, and today we're going to be getting into some AITA stories. If you enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. This story was created by a user named RoundChoice28, and it's titled, "I refuse to let my friend crash at my place after he roasted my apartment in front of everyone." Alright, this might sound petty, but I feel like I was justified. I, 26M, have a small one-bedroom apartment. It's not fancy, but it's clean. It's mine, and I worked my butt off to afford it. Like IKEA everything, but I got a gaming setup I love and a little fake plant that's absolutely thriving. Last weekend, I had a few friends over for pizza and chill, nothing wild. My friend Kyle, 27M, who's been kinda couch surfing lately, shows up and immediately starts roasting my place. He walks in and goes, "Damn bro, is this a studio or a jail cell?" Everyone laughs and I brush it off. Then he goes, "Yo, where's your dining table? You just eat off your lap like a raccoon?" Again, laughs. I joke back like, "Better than eating off someone else's couch, man," and everyone laughs again. But he doesn't stop. He jokes about my sad little gamer chair, my bare fridge, and even says my bathroom looks like it's been through something traumatic. It was funny for like 5 seconds, then it got annoying, and then it got rude. Fast forward to this week, he texts me saying he got kicked from the place he was staying at and asks if he can crash on my couch for a few nights. I literally responded, "I thought my apartment was too sad for you, man." Now he's calling me petty. A few mutuals said I should have let it slide because he's going through a lot. I feel for him, but like, why would I let someone stay in a place they just spent an hour clowning? So yeah, am I in the wrong for not letting my buddy crash at my place after he roasted it in front of everyone? I don't really know what you call this, but I want to say it's two-faced. Either way, I would have likely done the same thing as OP. If you talk a bunch of crap about something such as my apartment, I definitely wouldn't allow you to stay. You can't be expecting to treat someone poorly and then ask them to follow through when you ask for a favor. All that aside, the apartment itself is only one bedroom, so letting someone else stay there can get really cramped, and I personally wouldn't want that already limited space to be taken up by someone I couldn't care less for. A little while later, OP posted an update saying, "Appreciate all the comments. Honestly, didn't expect this to blow up a little, so mini update." Kyle saw the post. A mutual sent it to him. Apparently, the phrase "sad little gamer chair" really tipped him off. He texted me something like, "LMAO, real mature bro, air out your feelings on Reddit," and then left the group chat we're in. So that's fun. One of the same friends who said I was being petty later texted me like, "Okay, yeah, Kyle was out of line." Apparently, Kyle's been doing this kind of stuff to other people too. Cracking jokes that go too far and acting like it's always just a bit, which, yeah, exactly. Bonus updates. I picked up a folding table from this local guy who had 5 in his basement for some reason. It's ugly, but it does the job. If someone makes another raccoon comment, I'm flipping it dramatically. So yeah, still chilling in my apartment. Still got my IKEA shelves and my $9 fake plant that's somehow the healthiest thing in my life right now. Kyle's not staying here, but I hope he figures out his stuff. Just not on my couch. Thanks again, Reddit. Y'all cracked me up and also made me feel way less crazy. In the comments, there was one user who said, "Honestly, even if it wasn't my apartment he was ragging on, I still wouldn't let him stay with me because he sounds so exhausting. Let go of the joke, dude. It wasn't funny the first time, just mean." And I think I'd have to agree. This wasn't something I was thinking about initially, but this guy just doesn't really seem like the type of personality I would really get along with. I make my fair share of edgy jokes or banter, but I always make sure that whoever I'm joking with is actually comfortable with that before pushing the boundaries that far. There are situations where I do feel someone might be a little too sensitive, but this doesn't really feel like that, and I think OP was valid for pretty much everything. And again, if I said something that was a little out of bounds and the other person made it clear that they were not comfortable with it, I would pull back, but here, Kyle obviously thought he was in the right. This next story we're going to be getting into, again, is another AITA story, and it was created by user JuggernautSlow4213. It's titled, "Am I the jerk for skipping my brother's wedding because I wasn't invited to the engagement party?" I, 28M, have a twin brother. Growing up, we were inseparable, and until recently, I thought we were still very close. I was always more of a shy nerd, and he was an extrovert that played sports throughout our childhood and high school, but we spent almost all of our time together by choice. We went our separate ways when college came. He stayed in Arizona and I went to college in Portland. When I graduated, I stayed there because I fell in love with the city, and my friends are here, and my professional networks from internships were here, etc. But I always flew back for some holidays, events, and birthdays. My brother announced on Instagram that he and his girlfriend of 3 years got engaged. I was incredibly happy for him and texted him congrats. He mentioned they were planning to have an engagement party in 6 to 8 weeks, and I told him to let me know so I can book a flight to come celebrate. I was never told the date. If I brought it up with him or anyone in my family, they'd change the subject or say it's still being planned and confirmed. After a few weeks, I texted my brother to ask about the date because it must be getting close and I don't want to pay for a last-minute flight. No response. I asked my mom for details and she said it's not really an engagement party, just a small dinner with family. There's no need to come down for it. I eventually found out that it was in fact a big party. They rented out an entire restaurant for 4 hours and there were about 80 guests. Family, friends, cousins, everyone. Everyone was told I couldn't make it. My aunt, who was like a second mother to me, texted me that she was very disappointed. I replied that I would have happily come, but I was not invited. Word spread quickly about my snub and my parents and brother tried to say it was just a misunderstanding. That was almost a year ago. Since then, I've tried to get to the bottom of why I wasn't invited. Over the course of months, it went from it was just meant to be a small gathering to I don't know what happened, there must have been some form of miscommunication to it's just a party, no big deal. I asked my brother if he was mad at me. I thought maybe his fiance didn't like me. Even if she or he didn't want me there, why were my parents okay with this? This really wasn't like them. Christmas and Easter was awkward as hell because no one but me wanted to address the elephant in the room, and any conversation about anything was like small talk with strangers. When I visited in May for my sister's birthday, I left early after my sister said, "You moved so far away, it's like you're not really family anymore. You make everything feel so weird now." 9 months ago, I got the save the date announcement, and 6 months ago, I got the invitation to the wedding. I wasn't asked to be in the wedding party, which is fine and wasn't surprising at that point. My sister and younger brother were asked to be in the wedding party, so another snub. I also didn't get a +1 for my girlfriend I've been seeing for almost a year and a half. My sister, however, got a +1 for her friends with benefits. So I decided I wasn't welcome and I was probably only invited for optics and to play Happy Family. I didn't RSVP since I knew that would cause a shit show, so I just didn't go. The wedding was this past weekend. No one contacted me about missing the rehearsal dinner, so I guess even if I did go, I wasn't invited to that either or expected to be there. I started getting calls and texts about an hour before the ceremony asking where I was, if my flight was delayed, how far along I will be, etc., and I ignored them. They stopped for a while during the ceremony, but started up again right after. I finally picked up my mom's call and she screamed, "Where the hell are you?" I replied, "In Portland, where you all prefer me to be." She said, "This is your brother's wedding. How could you embarrass us?" I answered, "It's just a party. It's no big deal, right?" It was probably the first time in my life my mother was speechless. After a few seconds of silence, I said, "Tell everyone I said hi," and I hung up. Now I'm getting calls and texts from everyone saying I was being petty and ruined the day. So, am I the jerk here? I feel like I'm just matching the energy and dropping the rope. Immediately, I feel like there's something else going on here, but of course, I don't think OP is necessarily wrong in anything he's doing so far. Is it petty? Sure, but it's not unjustified. Just as OP stated, when he wasn't at the actual wedding, the optics probably looked terrible amongst all of the other guests who attended. Maybe rumors about a family fallout had begun spreading, and the mother finally realized that maybe icing out OP wasn't the greatest decision. And that bit about the sister getting a +1 for her friend with benefits while OP couldn't even invite his own girlfriend was also pretty irritating. I get that maybe OP had drifted away from the family gradually since moving out, but it seems incredibly strange that the family doesn't cherish the brief amount of time that they do get with him rather than turn this into drama and gaslight the guy as neglectful or something. I was going through the comments that he left on his first post, and as far as I know, it's not like OP switched up in any meaningful way that would cause alarm. There was no change in politics or anything in that nature. However, one interesting bit I found was the brother apparently got poor or average grades, and was more of a frat bro type of person going to a party school. This contrasted greatly from OP's own personality. Anyway, 1 week later, OP created an update. It said, "Thank you to everyone who responded to my last post. I can't believe how many replies it got, and I tried keeping up but couldn't. I also thought it'd be 50-50 NTA and YTA because I know what I did was a bit petty. To the people who said YTA, I understand your reasons. Yes, it was cowardly to not RSVP to avoid drama, but looking back, I was in a headspace where I just caved to the guilt if I did RSVP that I wasn't planning to attend. Also, a little part of me was hoping they'd realize I didn't RSVP and they tell me they want me to come. But every day that passed between that date and the wedding, I got angrier and more hurt, and I wanted to make it clear in a big way that if they don't want me around, I don't have to be around, and I get that that's a bad move. I had a phone call with my aunt and cousin last night about the wedding drama. They have given me some more info, and our suspicions are a bit of conjecture based on what we know and what we've heard, but here it goes. We really do think my mother felt I rejected them when I didn't move back after graduating. This is despite always coming home from my brother and sister's graduations, all birthdays, mine and immediate families, holidays, special events, etc. I practically visit on a monthly basis, but despite this, we think that she has some weird vendetta against me for splitting up her family and being an example to my siblings that they don't have to stay local. Even worse, somehow visiting so often made my mother resentful because my aunt mentioned that my mother once told her a few years ago that I was flaunting my wealth by showing I could visit so often. Thanks to my senior year internship, I went immediately into a field where progression can be quick, and thanks to going back for a very specialized master's degree, I am in a very niche space within that field and was able to move up faster. I'm not bragging, it was just luck, connections, and a great mentor early on. People suggested my brother might be jealous. He does earn less, but as far as I know, he loves his job. It doesn't have the same career progression. Honestly, his job is just more exciting than mine, and I'm sure it fulfills him a lot more. My job isn't terrible, it's just not one anyone wants to hear work stories about at a dinner party. I was also flaunting my money by gifting family money when they needed it. My grandfather often said, never loan family money. Give it freely if you want to, but you'll destroy relationships when you start asking for repayments. Not a week of Judge Judy reruns goes by without proving that true. So when I could, I gifted my family money when they needed it. Money for car repairs, to help with parents' mortgage when my dad was out of work during COVID, money when my brother ran out halfway through his kitchen renovations, and until last night, my parents' internet and Disney Plus bills, but I've now canceled the monthly auto payments. Again, this was me flaunting my success, but they never stopped asking either. My aunt and cousin also said they've heard lots of passive-aggressive comments about me over the years. First from my mother during the first few years after I decided to stay in Portland, and then eventually from my siblings. We're pretty sure my mother slowly poisoned them against me for not moving back home and showing what happens if they ever tried to move away. Someone said this about my mother meeting my girlfriend in my previous post. TBH, given the context of everything else that's happened, what your mother said here about finally finding someone who can put up with you sounds less like a tongue-in-cheek joke and more like a not-so-subtle barb. I see it now. I laughed it off as just my mom's humor, but I now also see that these passive-aggressive comments to me, to my siblings, over years was subtle manipulation to turn them against me and for me to learn to accept it. A lot of people suggested this treatment was to get me to move back home and to punish me for leaving, but I'm not going to come home to embrace treatment like this and hope it goes away now that they got their way, especially when it's been too ingrained in them by now. It also explains why for the past few years, almost every conversation is initiated by me. They simply don't like me anymore and don't need me until they need or want something. My cousin also learned from another cousin that my brother shot himself in the foot when he mentioned the engagement party. I wasn't supposed to know at all. The plan was to tell everyone I couldn't make it and hope I'd never find out. My brother told that cousin that I wasn't supposed to find out about it, but after he let it slip, I, quote, wouldn't shut up about asking to come. Based on how they've been talking about me for a couple of years, lots of extended family thinks I'm some annoying loser who makes my too often visits miserable for my family, and I can't get the hint to F off. So I'm finally effing off. My aunt and mother never really got along. My aunt is my mother's brother's wife, but my aunt said she knew all of this had my mom's name all over it, and that years of digs, comments, and full-on aggressive comments have all come to this. She said they're not the same people. I told them that I don't think there's any coming back from this then. My aunt and cousin both mentioned that they never heard my dad say anything bad, so my aunt is going to have my uncle talk to my dad man to man to see if he can find out what the hell is going on. I thanked my aunt and cousin and reminded them they are pretty much the only family I have left, and I don't plan on losing touch with them. My aunt even mentioned that they haven't gone camping in years and asked if there are any nice places around Portland. It's too far to drive to go camping, but it means they may visit sometime. They also said they're going to try to correct info about me with my extended family members, but I told them not to bother. They've already chosen to believe it. But for now, my immediate family are cut off. I've blocked them on my phone and social media. No more free handouts when they need money. No more wasting money to go to Phoenix 10 plus times a year just to be roasted by the sun and family members. No more punching bag. Thank you all for your support and helping me realize my family really is bad. So like I said earlier, there was just this vibe that something was going on underneath the surface. This entire fiasco is just so childish on the mother's behalf. Perhaps I'm looking too deep at the story at this point, but behavior like this feels like it has much deeper roots. Maybe something from her past made her hypersensitive to the idea of people switching up on you, and the mother thus started drawing up this imaginary scenario in her head where her son betrays her. Manipulating the younger kids to also hate OP is insane behavior as well. Keep in mind that this entire story was essentially fabricated from the mother alone. OP's dad mainly kept to himself and didn't play into all of the drama, and for the most part, it seemed that the brother was also largely manipulated by the mom, and it's unfortunate because maintaining strong bonds with your family feels amazing internally, but I don't see the salvaging process here being all that smooth. The stuff about the money is also kind of alarming. Again, it just feels the mom is drawing from past trauma and creating wild, baseless scenarios. My gut is telling me that in a few months, maybe even less, OP is going to get hit up in waves asking for money. This is essentially cutting the family off from their ATM of free money for discretionary spending. That's going to be it for me today. Let me know what you guys thought of the stories in the comments. Personally, I felt the second story was probably the standout today, and having your own mother turn your entire family against you is pretty diabolical. The first story was also pretty entertaining, but in a much simpler way with a more satisfying ending, I feel. The second story's ending feels a bit more open-ended as of right now, and I feel it's very likely that there's going to be a continuation, especially since the dad and uncle are supposed to discuss the situation between themselves. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, consider checking out our sponsor Gamersupps, who's linked below for your energy and caffeine supplements, and use my code DLAM for a discount on your purchase.